Alright, this video is going to be primarily about adding event listeners to specific elements on your web page. Now, I've got a landing page here where you see you've got your navigation over here on the left, 15 chapters, and you have an audio player up here at the top, and then in the middle here with the gray background you have an iframe. Way over here in the bottom right corner you have two images, one on top of the other, and the one on top has a bit of transparency set to it so that you can actually see the one beneath it as well. The one on top will let you use JavaScript to indicate what day of the week it is. Now, let me see. Another thing we have is an individual chapter web page. So this is a landing page that gives you, like I said, your navigation, your place to listen to an MP3 up here, and an iframe. And when you click on one of these chapters, it's going to colorize your navigation. It's going to give it a little tilt. It's going to create an MP3 that is basically the reading of this first chapter, and your 1.html web page pops in your iframe, which you can scroll down, and it's got all kind of notes. It uses H1 header tags and text areas, field sets, legends, paragraphs. What else is used in here? You got a little logo here that I created that if you click it, it gives you a little random video that opens up in a new tab. Nothing too exciting, kind of strange. But I'm not focused on going over this whole digital notebook. I really just want to talk about event listeners on two pages. And so I can basically start over. This is 10.html. As you can see right here in the address bar, desktop, there's a folder called Learning to Program. Inside of that, there's another folder, another folder called Box, another folder called Pages, and then this 10.html. The HTML web page code gives you this output. Now, in this individual page, it has its own audio player as well. Now, the difference between the landing page's audio player and this one, well, there's really not a difference in the audio player itself, but what you can do with this individual page is by clicking on any of the H1 elements, which this is an H1 element, it's a header, and it's got a background image, and the text is dropped down a little further than you would expect. So both the text and the background image are the H1 header tag. So you can either click on the text and it will start to play, or you can click on the background image and it will also start to play. Now it will play a segment of this long MP3 file. It's a file that takes 43 minutes and 25 seconds to read. It's the entire chapter 10. But by using some JavaScript and some adding event listeners, I am able to click on an H1 and just read a part of this 43-minute long reading. And I go to my next H1 header tag, that should be right here where you see the background again. Click this and boom, it automatically pulls up to where that segment starts to read. And then I only have one more on this chapter 10 page, and it's right here, and I click on it and it starts way over here, and then it reads from here to the end. So I'm going to show you how you can segment a single MP3 file, and by clicking on certain elements in your page you can just let that portion be read. If that's interesting to you or not, we'll see, but I'm going to show you the code anyway. All right, and then what else? Let me open my landing page back up. Now, there's nothing really new about the landing page except that I add event listeners to the two images that are over here in the corner. When you click the top image, you get an alert box pop up that says red, white, and blue will make a monkey out of you. You click OK, and then that first image, that topmost image, you can't see it anymore. See, it doesn't say Monday, and you can see the bottom image much clearer because it doesn't have a semi-transparent image over top of it. You click this image, and you get another alert. Le Choi makes Chinese food swing American. You click OK, and that image disappears as well. So basically on these two images of the landing page, I'm going to create an event listener and show you the code that did what I just showed you. And then after that, I'm going to go to the chapter 10 page, the 10.html page, and we're going to show you how I took my H1 elements and we targeted them along with using variables to make this segmented MP3 play happen. So let me first go to the landing page and show you how to make those images disappear. After the closing body tag and before the closing HTML tag, I've got a pair of script tags in which I'm going to put some JavaScript inside of. My first statement right here is creating a variable that will be targeting a certain element on my web page. So on the right hand side of this equals, we have document.getElementById parentheses and quotes my image 1, and we are going to use this single equals assignment statement to put that into this variable called prize1. You can call it whatever the heck you want. I just called it prize1 because it stands out, and sometimes when you create crazy variables that stand out, it makes the code funner to look at, I guess, so whatever. Var prize1 equals document.getElementById myimage1. Let's see where the element with the ID myimage1 resides on this page. I'm going to go up higher into the body. And here's the body that has an onload event that calls daily news and add listeners. And here we've got two image tags. Image ID equals myimage1, source equals an empty string, and image ID equals myimage2, source equals an empty string. So you might be saying, if the source is an empty string, then how is it you see the image? Let's refresh this page. How is it that you see this image right here? Well, I guess before I should go into that part, I think I should swing over here to the action.javascript file. It's an external JavaScript file, and I'll go over that really quick because that's just a reminder of how you can see a different image for the day of the week. Plus, if I want, I can change a different image that is behind it as well. So we create three variables here: var day, comma picture1, comma picture2. Then we create our function header, function daily news, empty parentheses and opening curly brace. The function daily news goes from this curly brace all the way to the end of the file. So this whole file is just that single function called daily news. We're using a switch case statement. Here is the header for the switch. You use the keyword switch, and in parentheses we have new date, empty parentheses, dot get day, empty parentheses. So here you're calling a function the date function, and here you're calling the get day function. Okay, new date, dot get day, and then all of that is enclosed in parentheses. And you have an opening curly brace, which starts our switch block. Now, the browser knows what this statement means, and it will choose from number 0 to number 6, and those numbers are indicating days of the week. So for instance, if it were spitting out a 0, then that would mean that today would be Sunday, because this expression, if it were Sunday, would give you the result of 0. So basically, whatever is the value of what this expression is giving you, then when you use the case keyword, whatever that is that you're comparing it to, if it's a match, then everything in this case will execute. Well, it's not Sunday, so this statement right here does not evaluate to 0, so all of this junk gets ignored, and this does not today evaluate to 1 either. Oh, well, yes, it does today. So this will evaluate to 1 today. Oh, I've been trying to do videos too long today. I'm tired of doing it. So this is true. This parentheses, the browser reads this and comes up with the number 1. Case number 1 means that this is a match. So then you have this colon right here, and everything in that case block will execute. The variable day, which you created up here, will be equal to the string Monday. The variable picture 1 that you created up there is going to be set to the path of this image. So we're going to go from our we're going to go into a folder called box, and then into a folder called images, and then we're going to see monday.png. We are also going to set the variable picture 2 to a path box /images /me.jpg. Then this break is in every single case because we're looking for one match and one match only, and then this break gets us out of the whole switch entirely. So this break will take us out of this, so we go all the way to the close, which is right here, and we jump right out of it to here. We're out of that block, and we're going to do the very next line of code, which is document.getElementById myimage1.source equals picture1. Now that is how this image ID equals myimage1 source equals nothing. That is how we fill up what pictures are going to go into myimage1 and myimage2. If anything happens to this action.js file and the path to link to it is broken, this won't work anymore. And then you won't see these images over here anymore. Back to that. So document.getElementById myimage2.source equals picture2 also runs. And then this closes up that whole daily news function. So you can do a lot of different things depending on what day of the week it is. You can make all kind of stuff happen. Now I have my topmost picture, picture 1, showing the day of the week, and it is over top of picture 2, which is the same picture over and over again, me.jpg. I can change that so that every day of the week there's a different picture that is at the bottom. And that would make it a little more interesting than seeing the same picture every day of the week. Okay, so we're done with this action.js file. I showed you the entire action.js. And that was this daily news function was being called by the bodies on load event. We also have in our index learning to program.html landing page, we also have this. This is the audio player. That's this up here at the top. Now, when we're just clicking a navigation, by clicking the navigation, it's going to open up a certain web page here, and it's going to link to a certain MP3 audio file here. But when we get into looking at the code for just the 10.html, we're going to see a secondary audio tag that this isn't representing. And this one has the ID of player. Source is not set to anything because it depends on which link that you click for which chapter. At that point, this gets filled up when the navigation link gives it the instruction to open up a certain MP3 file. This has the controls and preload set as well. But anyway, getting back to the code on this landing page that is going to make these images disappear. These are the two elements that we're targeting, myimage1 and myimage2, that's in the body. Let's go back down at the bottom of this landing page to our JavaScript. And again, document.getElementById myimage1 is being targeted, and that is being put into prize1, the variable called prize1. We do the same thing with document.getElementById myimage2 is going to be put into the variable called prize2. All right, so now we're going to use prize1 to do something, and as you can see, we use it all in all these places that are green. Prize1.addEventListener. And then inside of the opening parenthesis, we want to know what event are we listening for. We're going to listen for the click event. After that, we have a comma, and then we have the word function with the empty parentheses. There's no function name here, so it's basically an anonymous, non-named function that when the event listener realizes that you've clicked this element that's been given the variable of name of prize 1, it's going to do these things inside of our curly braces here. So here's the first thing it does. Alert, red, white, and blue will make a monkey out of you. The alert is how you make a pop-up. Then after you hit the OK to make the pop-up go away, it will use the variable prize1 dot style dot display equals none to make you not see it anymore. This statement right here, prize1 dot style dot visibility equals hidden, is commented out, but it is another way to make the visibility of an element disappear. Here is the closing curly brace for the function. Here is the closing parenthesis for the event listener, and here is the closing semicolon for the statement. And we're going to do the exact same thing for the other image, prize2 dot add event listener, in parentheses and quotes click, comma, keyword function with empty parentheses, and in the curly braces we are going to make an alert pop up that says LaChoy makes Chinese food swing American. When you click OK to get out of that pop up, you're going to have prize2.style.display equals none in double quotes. So that's basically all that you need to know as far as those little images and how to make them disappear. Here is the closing curly brace to the function. Here's the closing parenthesis to the event listener, and here is the final semicolon for the statement. Ending script, ending HTML, and that's really everything you need to know as far as this landing page and making this go away. One more time, you click it, red, white, and blue will make a monkey out of you. Okay, you click it again, LaChoy makes Chinese food, swing American, click OK, and it's gone. Those were kind of strange things to do. You can create something different that it does. Maybe, you can get into prompts or, just something totally different. Maybe something will animate when you do the click event handler for the click event. So that's completely up to you. But you see the basics of how to do it. Now let's do the same thing for our chapter 10. Well, it's not the same thing. We are making event handlers, but this event handler is going to do something different. For each one of my H1 header tags, I will create an Onclick event that calls a function, and based on the starting time and stopping time, we will create segments of this long MP3 that will play. And again, this is clicking the header 1, and as you can see right here, you see the seconds going by, so it is playing. It's currently muted, so I don't have to hear it in my headphones. Then I could go down to the second one. Again, it will pick up where the second one needs to start and watch this move. Boom, right there. And it's doing its thing. And then all the way to the end, it's going to move even further. And from here to the end is the third segment of this one single MP3 player. So let's look at the code for that. All right, 10 HTML. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our landing page. We're going to put our JavaScript at the very bottom, in between our closing body tag and our closing HTML. We've got our pair of script tags, and we're going to set it up the same way we did the other thing. First, we are going to target an element on the page by its ID. So document.getElement by ID, parentheses and quotes by audio. We are going to assign that value to this variable that's called AUD, which is short for audio. Now let's find where my audio is on the page, the 10.html page. We're going to go up again to closer to the top, and there it is. Audio. ID equals my audio, source equals, and we have the path to the 10.mp3 file that we want to manipulate, and it's always going to go to this path because we just want to take segments from this particular mp3 file. So we jump out of the current folder that we're in with the dot dot, we jump into the audio folder, and then we point to 10.mp3. We also gave the controls and preload to the opening audio tag here as well. Here's an H1 tag. We gave it an Onclick event that is set to the name of a function called playSegment, and in parentheses we have two arguments. 0 stands for the starting time, a comma, and 1147 stands for the ending time. And these time frames are seconds. They're in increments of seconds. All right, so then on the face of the H1 header tag, it just says document intentions, and there's the ending H1 tag. We go to the next H1 tag, and we call the same function, but we change the beginning and ending segment portions of the MP3 that we want to play, the starting and the ending of it. So we go down, 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 down. Lots of notes and stuff. Here's the second H1 header. Onclick equals play segment, and this time for our start time we have 1147 and comma, and then the end time 2151. And that header says document for yourself. Great. Let's go to the third and last one. And I passed it somehow. There it is. H1 Onclick equals play segment, and then in parentheses we have 2151, comma 2605. So there's the start time and the end time for that segment. And that H1 header says document for others. Okay, so let's go back. We are going to target that audio player that's on this page. We are going to use the variable called AUD in all these places that you see that it's highlighted green. We have a function called play segment, and we use AUD twice. We also have a function for this add event listener when time update fires off, and we use AUD there, there, and there. So we use that variable multiple times in two different functions. We also create a variable called segment end to represent exactly what that stands for, the segment end. And you can see that segment end is used in our play segment function. It's also used in our add event listener for the time update to fire off. It's used in two different places in this if condition as well. So let's remember that these two variables are created outside of functions, and so that makes them global, which means any functions on this page or other functions on other pages can access these variables and use them however they want. Okay, so function play segment. This is a named function, and inside the parentheses there's two parameters. The first one is start time, comma, the second one is end time. In the curly braces, three things happen. Whatever the value of end time is, it's going to be assigned to the variable segment end. Whatever the value is for start time, that's going to be assigned to odd.current time. And then finally, odd.play is going to play that segment. You also use that odd variable with the dot add event listener. Now, the way we used the event listener before to try to remove that image, we were looking for the click event. This time, we're working with this odd is working with that audio player instead of the click event, because we're not clicking on the audio player. We want this event that's called time update to fire. When time update fires, it's going to do what's in this function, this non-named anonymous function. And that is inside of the curly braces. We have an if condition that is this: if segment end and odd.current time are greater than or equal to segment end. When that becomes a true statement, then in these curly braces, this will run odd.pause. So it's going to take our segment and it's going to pause it when the end or the current time become greater than what the segment end was created to be. Now there's also outside of this if block this statement, which is kind of like an else. We don't see the word else, but if this is not true, then this gets ignored and it jumps out of that block, and it's going to do this. Console.log parentheses odd.current time. So you can see where in the MP3 file it's currently playing if it hasn't reached the spot that it needs to pause yet. Now here is the curly brace that closes the function. A comma the keyword false, and here is the parenthesis that closes the event listener, and here's the semicolon that closes up this whole little segment of code here. Okay, then you have your ending script and your ending HTML. And again, all that does is allow us to take any element we want on the page, and by clicking on it, we can have this event listener utilize the play segment function, and based on a start time and an end time, play just that little piece of an MP3 file instead of the whole thing. All right, there's the ending script tag, the ending HTML, and you have to remember that the function needs seconds, not minutes and seconds. So if I were to stop something right here at this point of this MP3 file, I would see that the time is 35 minutes and 14 seconds. So to get your seconds only, you just take your calculator. You remember it's 35 minutes and 14 seconds, so take 35 times 60 plus 14 equals, bam, there's your seconds. 2114 is what you would put in your code as an argument for either the end time if that's where you want it to end, or the beginning time if that's the start time for a segment that starts from here to wherever.